Good morning, Tony Dattino, founder of the USA Memory Championship and the president of Dattino Consulting Group, both having websites that you can go look at and learn more about us. But I do a Monday, Wednesday, Friday Live with Tony broadcast talking about something I've read in one of the science research journals or one of the magazines that I subscribe to, and always love to take what we're learning about our mental fitness and mental health, and I love to be able to share it with my Live with Tony audience. I'm starting to find that my afternoons get a little bit more hectic than my mornings, and so I'm beginning to do more and more of my Live with Tonys in the morning, and then you can come back in and pick those up at a later time as they are recorded and saved. And we also get them transferred over to YouTube, so you at least have access to them. But I'm finding too many times I get to the end of the day and I'm like, it's 7 o'clock and I didn't do a Live with Tony, which is what happened on Monday. Busy days and the afternoons just pick up, and I try to get things done before the night closes. So I'm doing one on Wednesday morning. It's not but 11:30 yet, and I wanted to highlight something I've talked about in the past, which is when our brain is sleeping, during our sleeping hours, we get to a certain level of deep sleep or a certain level of sleeping where it is actually working to purify or clear out the toxins that we have in our brain. So through the foods we eat, the air we breathe, through even our own thinking, right? Our brain's chemistry is constantly working. And so if we look at these hundreds of billions of brain cells with these dendritic spines and axons that are constantly using the neurology or the chemistry and the engineering of what we have going on in our brains, it's working all day long. And even during our sleep, research has shown over and over that there's a purification that's going on. It's a clearing out of our toxins. It's similar as what we talk about periodically. We filter our swimming pools, or we filter the air that comes into our air cabins in our cars, or the fuel that we have. So we go through the same thing for the human body. I mean, we think about this. Well, why aren't we purifying? So why aren't we having systems within our body that help purify and clarify what's going on in our most valuable asset, which is our human brain, which is where we get our thinking, creativity, and our communications from. So I'm reading an article that's in the New Scientist magazine of April 8th, and it talks about a mental workout, which is something they're now beginning to find that helps clear out the brain's waste. And that's a spam call, so I will not be getting that call right now. It's amazing. They go on all day long. I guess a lot of us feel that. But in any case, let's talk about the brain's waste disposal system. And the research had been talking about it in evenings. Well, here's an article that says it might be possible to turn on the process of cleansing it intentionally, meaning we may have, surprise, more control over things we may be able to do other than sleep that helps cleanse out and purifies the toxins in our brain. The waste disposal system may kick in after intense neural activity, and it might be possible to turn on the process intentionally rather than unintentionally. Now, wouldn't that be an interesting piece of research to understand? Which means what? That there may be things that we can do to turn on neural activity, the firing of our cells, the electricity and the chemistry that go on inside of our own brains, where we take a stronger control over it. Obviously, why would we want to do that? Well, if anybody's worried about mental impairment or cognitive impairment of any kind, or Alzheimer's or dementia, boy, wouldn't we want to take more control over clearing out the toxins that may take us into cognitive impairments. Until recently, the system, right, the way we do this in our brains, was thought to activate only during sleep. This is just what I was talking about, only during our sleep time. But now researchers have seen it ramping up in people after they watch a checkerboard and a series of patterns on a screen. So now what does that mean? It says, wait a minute, you know what? We thought that these purifications only take place during our sleeping hours, but somewhere, some scientists, I got to figure out where this, the university in UK, University of Exeter in UK, wanted to check some of this out. And what they found is that people may be able to deliberately flush out waste products from their brain by having various stimuli. And that's being said by Boston University in Massachusetts. Oh, wow. So Boston, Massachusetts University has somebody, researcher, doing something really, I think, terrific and brilliant that says, hey, we might be able to stimulate this clearing out process and take a more conscious control and a more deliberate control over the purification process that we now wait until we're going to sleep and hope that it's taking place, because when we get deep sleep, it'll take place on a natural basis. The surprise was that they found they were able to do this in awake people. And this comes from the University of Exeter in UK, which was not involved in the study. So it's an independent university that's verifying what Boston University in Massachusetts has done. And they're saying, whoa, you know, we weren't involved in this study, but my goodness, this is a big surprise that you could do this with people who were awake, contrary to science. The brain's waste disposal system involves a cerebrospinal fluid that's pumped into the brain, leading it through a network of fibers or tubes called the lymphatic system, which was only discovered in 2012. This continues to be amazing. This is what fascinates me about the human brain and what keeps me engaged in wanting to make a difference in people's lives and doing these Live with Tony broadcasts. Because as we are learning these things, how many people do you think stop to realize, first of all, there are toxins in our brain? My goodness, we know we may have them in some parts of our body, but to think that they also exist in our brain. These toxins are being clarified or purified during the evening, and so we have a filtering system that's taking place during our sleeping hours. But now comes the University of Boston that turns around and says, hey, University of Boston, Massachusetts says, whoa, wait a minute, we may be able to do some things during the day to stimulate the neural activities that help purify it during the day. Research suggests that fluid flushes out waste products made by brain cells, including compounds that may be involved in Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. This beta amyloid and alpha characters that exist in our brain. The researchers took advantage of new brain scanning techniques and existing magnetic resonance MRIs, which we all know about, that highlights this can be newly impacted in the various circuitry of the human mind. I just think this is exciting. My goodness, we learn more and more, and this is what keeps me engaged. It keeps me reading. It keeps me wanting to share these lessons with people. It makes me want to say, have you heard about this? It's like, wow, these are some of the things I wish we would put in on the national news and get people excited about their own mental fitness, as more and more of us obviously are aging, and our goal is to age and get older. But by God, how many people worry about losing their mental faculties as they do get older? And here we're finding out that new research says a mental workout could help clear out your brain's waste. And so the question becomes, what are the right things that are mental workouts? And I know within the last 3 months I've had some brain imaging for some of the eye problems I was having. And the results came back and said, my goodness, you've got a brain that's probably 10 years younger than somebody your age. And I attribute that to the research and the work that I do and the teachings that I do. And I say, but if this can happen to me, why can't it happen to anyone else? And there's some practice there's some techniques you've got to learn, there's some work you've got to do to create these mental challenges that they talk about here in the New Scientist magazine. But why can't all of us take some time every day and just find 10 minutes, learn something new about our brain, practice some type of mental exercise that they're finding really makes a difference in our cognitive functions. This is exciting, and we're on the cutting edge, and we're learning all the time. As I said, in 2012, we just learned about these new things, and we think, my goodness, we knew it all. One of the things that Tony Buzan got me excited about is saying by the end of the 20th century, we'd find half of what we thought we knew about the human brain would be proven to be wrong. And that's what caught my fantasy and my interest in this 24 years ago. And so it's just been amazing as to how much we've learned over those years. And I continue to learn and continue to fascinate and continue to want to share. And by the way, it was 1989. I'm sorry to say that's more than 30 years ago. Did a little quick readjustment in my math. Hey, you have a great week. It's midweek point, and we'll see you back here on Friday.